and welcome to this video. So today I'm going to share with you what happened when I recently tried some cooked food. If you're new to my channel, my name is Tumi. I'm a medical doctor, I'm a poet, I'm a dancer, and I've been raw vegan now for over 10 years. And in this video, I'm going to share with you what happened when I decided to do a cooked food experiment and how that went down. And I want to say that even if you're not raw or even vegan, I'm raw vegan, this video I think extends beyond the idea of diet. I think it extends to what happens when you choose a different path and you find that that path might not be working for you, how to get back to your own truth, if that makes sense. So I think it extends beyond diet. So if you, again, are new here, I often make videos around raw veganism, holistic health tips in general, including plant-based nutrition and lifestyle. I also love making videos on minimalism, what I like to call voluntary simplicity, all infused with dance. And if any of that sounds interesting to you, consider subscribing down below. So let's get to what happened. I and my family have been in Mexico now for about 2 months. We live in the Canary Islands usually, but we love traveling, and we wanted somewhere that was extra warm, and we came to Mexico, and it's been an incredible and beautiful journey. And when I got here, we were in places where there were a lot of cooked vegan options. Now again, I've been raw for 10 years and happily raw. Maybe the first couple of years were a struggle. I've shared about this in past videos, but for several years now have been easily raw, happily raw, not interested in cooked food, not had cravings. But when I got to Mexico, I thought, hey, there's the option of some cooked food. And I want to give you backstory. I became raw after being pescatarian for a big part of my life. I went pescatarian, stopped eating meat except for fish and dairy at the age of around 13, 14. And then I switched to raw just immediately after doing nutritional research as a doctor, and seeing the evidence, and also going to the first Woodstock Fruit Festival. Went raw and never looked back. My point being is I never had that, I don't know what to call it, maybe the intermediary or transition step of cooked vegan food. I never did that. I went raw. And I'm so happy I did. The benefits have been astounding. I've made other videos about that you can check out on my channel. But we're in Mexico. We're in the Tulum, Playa del Carmen area, if you guys are familiar with that. And I thought, hey, there's cooked vegan food. Let me just see if I take this food in, how it affects my system. I work as a physician. I work one-on-one with clients and patients a lot, and I help people thrive on both raw but also cooked plant food diets. And I thought, maybe some cooked food won't be an issue for me. Let me just try and see what happens to my system. So let me just also tell you what my usual diet is. You can check some of my what I eat in a day videos, but usually I eat 2 meals a day, and the first meal is juicy fruit, and the second meal is fruit and then greens, maybe a salad, maybe a raw green meal. Check out my other what I eat in a day raw videos if you're interested. So I decided I was going to try a couple of cooked meals, but to be very clear, I wasn't going to touch my first meal, my breakfast. Going to keep to juicy, raw fruits. That has always worked best for me. I didn't want to rock the boat too much. So I decided to try a few dinner meals that were cooked vegan foods. I tried vegan tamale. I think I tried something with like corn-based vegan tacos. And then I shared a gluten-free vegan cooked pizza. No vegan cheese. It was just vegetables, but with a flour crust that was gluten-free with my husband. My husband eats cooked, but very clean cooked plant-based foods. That was it. A few meals just to try. And here's what happened. Oh, and I also tried just cooked corn on the cob. There are lots of street vendors that just have cooked corn on the cob. I eat raw corn when it's in season, so I thought, let me just try cooked corn. After a few of these meals, this is what happened. After the first meal, and I think the first one was tamale, here's what happened with these meals. I got pretty immediately strong belly discomfort, digestive pain, gassiness, bloating, difficulty sleeping. I also had a patch of eczema. I haven't had eczema in 10 years since going raw. My eczema flared up. I had not seen that, just a little bit, enough to know that this was not working. But the other thing that happened that was fascinating that I want to share with you is that my cravings, which I haven't had in 5, 6, 7 years, came back. Cravings for cooked and processed food. I remember having a corn on the cob, and it was like, I finished and I was like, oh, that was, I didn't feel comfortable. I started having bloating immediately, but I wanted the next day more. I had the tamale and I didn't feel satiated. What's fascinating about the vegan pizza is I had that, and I had that one really did me in. Fatigue immediately. I was so exhausted, belly pains, difficulty sleeping, again, the eczema. And the very next night I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I remember I went and I actually had raw vegan pizza at a raw place that was available to us in Tulum. And the feeling I had after the raw vegan pizza, which is, people would say it's kind of processed raw food, but it's still raw, it's all living food. I felt satiated, I felt calm. It was so different. The other effect I had with eating this cooked food was I didn't feel like I got enough, even though I was eating enough food and definitely calorie dense food. I didn't feel satiated, and I also got crabby, like cranky, which I just was remarking like how much calm and ease and just feeling harmony that I have felt with raw that sometimes I think I just take for granted. And so I say all this to say that one of the blessings or the benefits of getting off your path sometimes or doing an experiment is that sometimes it just helps to you recognize how good you got it. And after those experiments, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I've tried the cooked vegan thing. And I want to also say that for some people, they do great on cooked vegan food. My husband eats cooked lentils. Again, he eats really clean and he's very picky about his ingredients, but he thrives on that. Me, I don't. I thrive on a living foods diet. And here's the first thing I want to share. And I'm going to look at my notes because I made some notes that I didn't want to forget. Is the first thing I want to share with this video around my experiment was this idea of wanting to be free from labels. I have to share that I think part of what led me to the experiment was that I didn't want to be labeled as raw vegan. Even though I have been raw vegan for 10 years, I don't like being put in boxes. And so I was like, I want to feel free to try different things when I want to. I have no desire to eat animal products. I have never, since going vegan. I don't see myself ever eating animal products unless in some weird, dire situation where it's a survival thing, which I hope never happens in my lifetime. I don't see myself being not vegan. And raw has continued every single day to feel like the right choice for me because I just feel my best. But I decided to try this experiment. I think part of that was, again, I don't want to be labeled. But here's my first kind of lesson for myself that might be helpful for you, is this idea of releasing fear about being labeled. People are going to judge. Everyone judges in some shape or form, some more than others. And rather than trying to run away from being put in a box, I think it's so helpful to keep checking with yourself, what's the most exciting for me? And regardless of what people think of you because of what your choice is, do that. Honor yourself, honor your deepest excitement. And so at the end of the day, I was suffering physically, mentally, emotionally with this experiment. I'm glad I did it. But I was suffering with these choices because I was shirking being labeled. And so I realized I was the one who was kind of biting my own tail in a way. And so release, my invitation is to release fear of being labeled. That's number one. The second thing that I learned was the opportunity to exercise radical self-love and acceptance. I am raw vegan. I thrive eating living foods and eating basically exclusively living foods. I don't do well in cooked food. Even the cooked corn put me in a tizzy. I again broke out. I felt cramping in my belly, cooked corn on the cob. And that's okay. Because you know what? Mama Nature has provided me on every corner of this globe an alternative that works for me, which is living foods. I can and I attract to myself delicious living foods, plant foods that help me thrive. And I give thanks for that. I don't need to go to the alternative, which is cooked food. So accepting myself as raw vegan, accepting myself and loving myself and not trying to be like anybody else, that was part of my lesson, a reminder of radical self-love and acceptance. The other part of that love and acceptance is if you choose to do an experiment, or if you don't choose to do an experiment, but you fall off your wagon, your dietary wagon, your health intention wagon, to give yourself a big hug of love and get right back on learning from what took you off that wagon or train, so to speak. So for me, it was a very intentional decision to do cooked. I didn't fall off the wagon. I said, I'm going to get off this wagon. I'm going to go off on this other wagon and check it out. Did not like the wagon. I'm back now on my raw vegan wagon, and with a lot of self-love and a sense of true freedom, because I feel free eating this way. So radical self-love and acceptance if you fall off the wagon or if you do an experiment that just doesn't work for you. And the third lesson I wanted to share was, use the opportunity of experiments and going off course to look at what needs to be healed. I'm going to say that again. Use the opportunity of, if you decide to go off the path, maybe that's a spotlight on something that needs to be healed. In my case, it was an opportunity for me to see how good I have it with my raw vegan life. Because, the other thing that happened, I do not want to forget this. The other thing that happened when I did cooked food for a little bit, it was just like a few meals. It was not like even a long period and lots of meals. But those few meals, my next time I had my my period, I had discomfort. I have not had an uncomfortable period in years. I've made videos on this. I just I know when the blood is going to come because I'm so regular, because again of my raw diet, and I see the blood, I'm in the zone of just increased intuition and feeling spirit, and I feel so good on my moon. This time, cramping, discomfort, have not had that in years. So that's the other side effect that happened with me. Again, this is my experience doing cooked food. So the third lesson again is this idea of look at what is asking to be healed. And for me, I think that was this idea of releasing my fear of being labeled. That's what I needed to heal. And also, you can use this experiment or going off path to get even clearer about your path. I feel more aligned and more excited and more dedicated to my choice as a raw vegan than ever before, than the past 10 years. I've tried the cooked vegan thing, bless it. I feel the best on this, and I'm so much more aware and thankful for it. So those are the three big lessons I got from my cooked food experiment. And I'm excited to hear from you. Have you tried any dietary or health experiments that didn't work for you? And how did you get yourself back on track? I'll share with you the way I did, because those cravings came back. I was like, I'm actually craving cooked food again, and I haven't had this in years. How did I get myself back on track? I just went back to raw, and I up-leveled, meaning that I didn't do any complex meals. I just did simple monomeals of fruit for 7 days, and 10 days. It aligned with going into the approaching equinox. And during that time, I love to do a simplified version of my diet anyway. And having that simple monomeal of fruit, 2 meals a day of just monomeals of fruit, did it. Cravings gone, my body aligned, my digestion went back to normal, eczema gone. I'm back even better than before now. So I just give thanks for that. I give thanks for this experiment and my lessons, and I hope that something that I shared here uplifts you, inspires you, and maybe helps you feel more sense of self-love on your unique journey. Let me know down below Again, if you've tried health experiments that didn't go as planned or that just showed you lessons, share with me. And if you're interested in being raw, whether for a season or a detox or for a lifestyle, I've been doing this now for 10 years, happily thriving on it. You can check my blood test and another video on this channel. Then check out my webinar, The 5 Keys of Success on a Raw Vegan Diet. I will leave that link in the description box below. And yeah, I send you so much love wherever in the world you are. I know that I'm not making videos as often. I am quite busy, loving my life, but quite busy. I hear my baby as I speak. If you're wanting more material and support from me, consider subscribing or joining my membership program called Your Delicious Life. It's a beautiful community, and I offer guidance every single week with a healing dance or meditation, inspiring posts, tips on subject matters, and Q&A videos where I answer your questions at the end of every month. So check out the membership program. I will leave that link. Check out the webinar if you're wanting to try raw or stick to raw and you've kept on falling off that wagon. I send you so much support. Much love. See you in the next one.